Hi, I'm Deb Andrews. I'm founder and president of Marketree, along with,
I'm Brady Lewis. I am the Senior Director of AI Innovation at Marketree.
and this is the second edition of Candid Conversations. If you happen to tune into our first edition of Candid Conversations, Brady and I just to get together and chat about all things generative AI, how it relates to marketing. And we decided to bring our candid conversations and just record them so that you can listen in and hopefully you get something out of our chat every now and again. So today we are going to talk, basically break it out into three segments. And our first segment, we're going to talk about the human to machine scale, which I will bring up. And basically, what the human to machine scale is, it shows how organizations are evolving over time from doing all work by human beings to how they're becoming more AI enabled over time. So we'll wait a second for this to come up. And what you can see on the human to machine scale is over on the left, you have level zero. That means it's all human. This is pre-generative AI. You have most of the human beings doing all of the work. Level one is still mostly human. Level two, it's becoming half and half. Level three, mostly machine. And level four is like all machine. Basically, you have an entire company that's like made up of robots and AI agents doing work together without human beings. Very freaky thought, but there actually are companies out there trying to do that right now. So, to start off, and I'll take this down in a moment, but I think it's helpful for our viewers to kind of see it and digest the information, Brady. Like, how are you seeing companies start to move from level zero to level one and potentially even to level two? And what are some of the things that they're grappling with as they start to try to move on this AI journey forward?
Yeah, so this scale is really good visualization for this conversation. First off, I think that there are a significant portion of companies that are still in level zero, even more so that are in level one, and very few that move at this point in time have moved beyond level one. Level one is definitely where a lot of companies are getting stuck right now. And from what I've seen and my opinions, the biggest struggle is really the change management and the human aspect of the situation. So you also have companies that are going in thinking that they're going to go from level zero to level four immediately, and that's just a recipe for disaster. So when we're talking about trying to get companies to start making the progress on the scale moving forward, it really requires a lot of strategic thinking. This is the part that's getting overlooked a lot. Too many people, too many companies think that AI is just going to be this magic switch that they can flip on, and all of a sudden everything's going to work, and they're going to have great results. That's not really how it works, and that's shouldn't be expected. I know that it is because AI is this magical, powerful thing. And so, we say you can do so much with AI, which is absolutely true, but it can't do everything. And it can't do the management of itself, which is what really needs to happen and have thought put into the strategy around it. So, it's not just simply a technical initiative. It's very human involved, very much so more than a lot of the other technologies that we've seen come through. And there are a lot of psychological aspects to this as well, which you may think doesn't play, a huge part when we're talking about a company implementing new procedures and those things. But with AI, it does matter. It matters a lot because people are afraid that AI is going to take their job. They think, very literally, they think, why am I going to help, this process of implementing AI when eventually it could start doing everything that I can do and take my place and I'm out on the street. Um, Fortunately, that's not the way that we're looking at things. We can't say that every company doesn't have that in mind. We have seen layoffs, obviously, But the companies that are going to be successful, that's not the way that they're thinking. They're thinking about AI being a productivity enhancer, augmenting humans to allow them to work smarter and accomplish more in a more efficient manner, better outputs, better quality, those types of things, as opposed to simply replacing them. So I think that the first real thing that goes into a successful AI implementation initiative is the strategy session and taking into account not only the technology side of things, but very importantly, the human aspect part of it.
Thank you for that, Brady. I agree completely. And especially agree with where I've seen at least our clients and prospective clients are on that scale. Having done some speaking engagements this year on generative AI and the use of it, I've sort of polled the audiences like, where do you feel you are on this scale? And most feel like they're at level 0 or level 1 at most. And I think part of that is because like you said, there's not like a strategic component around generative AI and how generative AI is going to impact the business. Some companies have basically put, I don't want to say the burden because it is an opportunity, but the kind of the mandate on the employees to go out and learn how to use these tools to make their jobs more efficient without really much direction. And that can be pretty daunting. And fundamentally, I don't know if you agree with this, but organizations are not going to see a step change in efficiency if you have 100 people using a wide range of tools in various ways. And I don't know how that's going to drive change, efficiency, and any best practices. I think it might actually cause the opposite. It might cause some quality issues. It may cause people to not be using generative AI in the right way. And it might actually sort of backfire.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you're spot on with where most companies are, and there are multiple negatives to being in that situation. First off, like you said, there's no guidance around everything. So even if people were successfully using it, there's not going to be consistency. People are going to be using different tools and they're going to be using it for different things. If you can imagine, like you didn't have any specifics, SOPs around project management software, and one of your employees used Asana, one used Teamwork, one used Google Sheets. Everybody's doing their own thing in the different ways that doesn't work well. That's not going to allow for good collaboration. Is not going to allow for good procedures because there's no specifics around what is expected of people. And when we're talking about AI specifically, um, if your company's messaging around employee use of AI is unclear, they're going to be concerned that they aren't even supposed to be doing it. So they're not going to be upfront and forthright about what they're doing, and so that you can gain this feedback and learn from it and start putting the best practices in place. They're going to potentially hide it from you because they're not sure whether or not you're going to be mad at them for doing it, or that you're going to cheer them on for doing it. So really getting that in place of not only here's the process we're going to use, here are the tools we're going to use, but also that human aspect of giving them the permission, so to speak, to utilize these tools and learn from them and figure out what works best and what doesn't, and getting that shared amongst internal teams, and really using that internal feedback to drive the way you want to go for the rest of your employees. It just opens it up. And if you keep everything under the rug or black box or whatever, you're not going to really gain any of those insights, and there's not going to be shared knowledge amongst the team members because again, they're not even sure if they're supposed to be doing it. So again, getting back to the first step, this is all part of the strategy. You have to talk about it. You have to have a plan. You can't just hope that your employees are going to, first off, even use the tools. Second off, um, they don't know what they're going for. They don't know that we're trying to figure out the best ways to do things. They don't know that when they have a success, they should share it and tell, the method that they used to get there. So a big piece of it is just that messaging, and again, the human aspect of it.
Yeah. It was interesting. Just the other day on LinkedIn, Scott Brinker's MarTech report for 2026 came out. It was like 120 pages. I haven't had a chance to digest through it yet, but Tara Cruz She is with Gravy AI. Did a little summary on her LinkedIn, which I found very helpful and insightful. And I thought we might talk about some of her takeaways, which I think it's playing into exactly what we're saying. Number one takeaway from this report is that technology is ahead of people and process. Technology readiness is higher than human readiness. And your biggest opportunities as organizations right now is upskilling, ownership clarity, and change management.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more from several aspects. Um, it's got to start at the top. If the people in charge don't know anything about what they're talking about or what they're driving towards, it's very hard to put strategy around it. It's very hard to know if people are doing things in a positive way or not. Um, and really, upskilling yourself, upskilling the entire organization is extremely important, but it kind of has to start with upskilling yourself just so you can even know what to look for, what you should be, bringing in front of your teams. And we've just seen this in certain situations. You have to be careful because some companies or some people will play on the fact that they know that not everybody knows what they're talking about. AI can be very complex topic, especially when you start talking about some of the back end pieces in like training models and such. And so, there's the opportunity right now to kind of be a little bit deceptive. If you know what you're talking about and you know your clients don't know what you're talking about, you can make things seem bigger, more complex, more expensive. That's the bottom line. They're going to be able to charge you more because they understand what they're doing, but they also understand that you don't understand what they're doing. So upskilling yourself first really can knock out several positive things, not only just within how you're going to upskill your organization, but protecting yourself from being taken advantage of as well.
For sure. Brady, if you were for organizations that say maybe are at a level one where they've done some work, maybe they've rolled out some best practices here and there, and are level one, but they want to progress more to like in between level one and level two. What are some of the things that you would suggest that they do? And maybe even reflecting back on marketry, we're always the what we call client zero or the guinea pigs of ourselves, like how we do things and figure things out. And then once we think that it's a great way to go about it, we will help our clients do that as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on like best practice for trying to get beyond kind of that stage one or level one.
Yeah, yeah, great question. I think I have two answers there. First and foremost, and you guys did a fantastic job about with this before I was ever even around. But creating an AI council or something similar to where you have, senior leadership. That's extremely important because you have to have the buy-in. And also, if you can get a variety of different teams involved as well, get a few people together that are very interested in AI and very interested in moving forward with AI in the company. That becomes your not only your sounding board, but it gives you people that can experiment and give you feedback. People that they know that they have the permission to go out and do these experiments and can come back with you with successes and failures, and it's all driving towards the betterment of the company and the initiative. So that would be the first thing I would suggest is getting a group of people together that meets regularly and can discuss everything AI. And then as far as the tactical side of it, um, my suggestion highly would be start with one project, a simple project. Find something that is repetitive, doesn't need a ton of like creative, strategic uh, thought that goes into it. So something along the lines of like summarizing meetings. Take something like that is relatively easy to augment with AI or automate and work through it. Make sure that it's working like you want. You're going to have fails. You're going to have successes, but nail down that first project because then it gives you the momentum. It shows you that it is possible. It's something that probably your employees don't want to do or don't enjoy doing anyway. So when you go to propose to your broader employees that were going to start implementing AI to do some of these tasks, it kind of alleviates some of that psychological fear because you're taking something that they don't like doing off their plate anyway. It doesn't seem like I'm going to get replaced. At this point in time, it seems like, oh, great, I don't have to do that task that I don't like doing anymore. So stick with one initiative till you nail it down. Then you have more buy-in, then you have more comfort, you have more confidence in yourself that you can move forward, and then move on to another single initiative. Don't try and, as they say, boil the ocean. You don't have to go in and do a complete revamp of your entire company just because that's what it seems like everybody else is doing. Those people that are trying to do that, those are the 85% that we're seeing failing. It's the people that are taking it step by step, doing these simple initiatives that actually make a difference, that are the ones succeeding.
And learning as you go, learning from the
Absolutely.
failures and keeping a failure log is what did right. So to recap, for those people kind of wanting to advance on that human to machine scale, form an AI council if you haven't already. It can be enthusiastic people, it can be experts in the field. However you put it together, you need a dedicated group that's going to champion initiatives and then start with something small, something routine, something that people really isn't a core part of people anyone's job. They won't feel threatened. They'll actually feel happy about something being automated or leveraging generative AI to help them do that one thing. And that will free them up to do more things that they like to do and that only they can do as human beings. So, great
Yes.
insight, Brady. Thank you for that.
One more thing, start with something that's not going to crush you if it messes up. Something that's
Oh,
not
good
critical,
point.
something that's not going to clients, something that's internal.
Yes, that is really, really important. Actually what you said in terms of like somehow automating agendas, meeting notes, filing the meeting notes in your CRM in your folder, that's something so small, but it can be really time consuming. It's pretty
Yep,
like harmless, even if it doesn't work. Just make sure you're taking manual notes as well, but the
yep,
transcription services tend to work well.
yep.
All right, our second segment today, I'm calling Artisans and Explorers. So let me explain. In the world of generative AI, I think when it rolled out, there was a little bit of a graying or beiging of outputs where people were relying on generative AI, ChatGPT, Claude to do the thinking for the person. And because people were prompting similar things, everything started to sound the same, blog post, and it became pretty obvious within the first year of ChatGPT, like, oh gosh, this isn't the way to go for sure. And so people need to leverage AI as, in terms of outputs, as the writer or as the facilitator of creating the output, but not as the thinker. My feeling is, and again, this is my opinion, and I would love to hear your take on it, Brady, but like when you start like leverage that tool to do the thinking for you, then you're really not offering a unique perspective on, especially if you work in professional services and marketing, or if you're CPA or an engineer, or are professional and it's the intangible service that you provide. Like if you let AI do the thinking, it will all start to sound the same. So to stand out, basically, I'm saying you have to have two things. One is you have to be an artisan. You think about somebody that is just exceptional at really doing that one thing. You have to be great at the thing that you do. Because if you're not, let's face it, ChatGPT, other large language models, like having a PhD in your pocket, it will be able to do technical things. So you need to be really, really good at the thing that you're doing and constantly learning. So that's the artisan part. And the second part is being an explorer, is going beyond just learning the technical aspects of your job, but seeing the context in which it's implemented, like getting out, talking with your clients, talking with prospects, putting yourself in situations where you're kind of seeing how the advice that you recommend plays out to give you like unique points of view that only you can know because you've had that experience. And so that's like the explorer mentality. And I always go back to like Jane Goodall, like no one could replace Jane Goodall because she lived with chimpanzees. She observed their behavior. No one else did that. ChatGPT can't replace the Jane Goodall. ever because she was an explorer in her field. And so, kind of where I think we're getting to in professional services, especially, is artisans and explorers. You have to think in those two, be an expert at what you do. You can't ever let your guard down. You want to be the LeBron James or the Michael Jordan or the Michael Phelps of your trade. And then you need to be an explorer. You need to kind of go out into the world and see how what you're providing is actually working in actuality. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brady. I'd love to hear, am I completely crazy with my thinking with artisans, explorers, or am I kind of right on the money?
No, I think I think you're spot on both sides, and I think that the winning way is the combination of both, and there are several reasons for that. Besides the obvious being able to prompt more specifically and nuance because you know a topic better and getting better results. There's also things like you'll be able to understand if it's hallucinating and providing bad information, which you wouldn't if you knew nothing about the topic that you were talking about. So there are multiple benefits into the artisan side of things, and it allows you to be creative, and creativity is still huge because, as you were saying, without the creativity you get the beige, you get the same thing. It's like if there was a robot created that there was a red ball in front of him and a blue ball a mile away. If you just said, hey, get me a ball every time, it's going to get that red ball every single time. Unless you say, I don't want a red ball, I need a blue ball because of this, then it's going to be forced to go get the blue ball. But it's going to take the easiest path. Every instance of Chat GPT we're all using was all trained on the same data set. So it's just going to give the same stuff if it's not required to go the step further. Um, then when we get into the explorer part, that's where another layer of creativity comes in, because you start thinking about all the different things that you can do with the knowledge that you have powered by AI. So it's no longer like, yes, if you're an expert, you can go in and get a list of whatever topic you may be interested in. But when you start exploring on that explorer side of things, you think, okay, well, let me turn this into an interactive game so it's more fun for me to learn these things. Like those are the next steps you can take once you figure out the artisan part and how to start working with the tools. Expanding and multiplying with just the insane capabilities of AI is where it really gets fun for me. But I've been working with you now for almost 6 months, and I've seen a tremendous growth in your capabilities working with AI. So I would love to hear from your perspective how that felt to move from novice to now starting to do some really complex, complicated, fun, cool, unique stuff.
Wow. Okay. Well, I am almost emotional hearing that. Thank you so much, Brady.
Yeah,
Honestly,
true.
I love it. And I think as, we've been working together more, I have found myself experimenting a lot more. As we have more discussions, I found that I'm getting more curious and getting bolder in trying new things. And one of the things you shared from the very beginning was to just not be married to one tool, to like use different tools, use different use cases, like again, explore a little bit more as to like what works and what doesn't work. And through that exploration, you start just figuring things out on your own, and you're figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And I can sit there for 30 minutes and say, okay, that was a waste of time, and I'm really not happy the way that tool did it. So I'm going to take it over to this tool and see if it can do it better. And maybe I need to prompt it in a different way. And so I think that encouragement to like not just sort of accept what it's giving you, but to keep trying or try different tools has been extremely helpful. And honestly, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. And I can't advise more to go out there and play with it, work with it. I see it as like compound interest growing when you're doing that, because as you're doing all these different things, one, you're learning more about whatever topic it is that you're working on, because you're getting the responses, and you'll see things that you didn't think about, you'll see things that you didn't know before. But like you said, you're also going to be learning, okay, if I do it like this, I'm going to get a slightly better result. If I do it like this, it's going to come back like this. you're learning prompt engineering. That's what prompt engineering is. You're learning the different details. So you're learning about the topic. You're learning about how to do the prompt engineering. So, moving forward, your results are going to be better and better, and you'll get glimpses of extended capabilities that you can then go explore, and it just keeps feeding itself. I mean, it's just like an infinite circle to me that just keeps growing your skill set bigger and bigger. It's just it's still mind blowing to me, even though I do it every single day and have for years. I'm still blown away almost every single day by something.
I'm getting pretty blown away by it all too. And it's pretty infectious. So
Yeah.
anybody out there that feels a little fearful, just start trying it. It's actually a lot of fun. All
Yeah.
right, artisans and explorers. So that's our second segment today. And our third is always going to be a tool, like a recommendation. And the one that we want to talk about today, actually, Brady and I have always been in like lockstep with this one, is like the most underrated tool out there is Anthropic's Claude. It's our go-to. It's my go-to for everything. And even when I try to go out and use Gemini for something or chat, another tool, a lot of times I'll end up right back using Claude, and that's okay. I still like to try other tools, but I love Claude. So, Brady, come, let's break down Claude and
Yeah.
encourage people why they should give it, at least give it a try.
Sure. Yeah. So anybody that's not familiar with Claude at all, it's it's very similar to ChatGPT. It's a large language model with a chatbot interface. It can do a lot of the same things that ChatGPT can do as far as like projects and creating custom GPTs, which we would call projects here in Claude. But in general, it's a tool where you can prompt an LLM and get a response. And me personally, I probably use Claude for 97% of the things that I do. There are definitely certain situations where I will go to ChatGPT or Gemini, especially if I get into like a loop of not being able to get a conversation in Claude to do what I want. I'll take it out and try a different tool. But in general, I find almost every aspect of Claude to be the best as far as, especially with writing. I think that it's from the beginning has been the best writer as far as sounding not robotic. But it also does really good research, and it has what they call artifacts. And I'll share my screen here so we can get a visual on some of these things that I'm talking about. So this is what Claude looks like. It's available on the web as a normal website, or it's available to download as an application on your desktop. This is the desktop version. There are a few things that it can do that the web version can't, but the web version is fully capable with pretty much anything that you would need. Um, but they have artifacts, which is kind of like a mini app that it can generate. So if you go in here, you can see a lot of artifacts that other people have created just to like give you inspiration or actually use them. Um, there was one that this trivia one. So these artifacts, they're simply just generated from a prompt in a conversational situation. So for this, it could be as simple as going into Claude and saying, generate an interactive app that does trivia questions that has multiple categories, and um, it generates new trivia questions each time somebody plays it. And you can go in here and you can see this trivia one that somebody created gives you all the options of what you want to do, and then you hit start, and it's utilizing Claude's AI to generate the questions based on which category I chose, and then it comes in here and it's just a trivia app, and it's really cool that you can. I don't know how I managed to click both the correct answers on those two. Uh, but this is like when what I mentioned earlier, like you can take now uh and we've done this several times, take a big report that is just super dense, super data heavy, nobody's ever going to read through that entire thing, and turn it into an interactive dashboard or an interactive game or an interactive something. And all it takes anymore at this point in time with a tool like Claude is to attach the report. It could be a PDF, could be a Word doc, anything. Just upload that report and say, hey, turn this into an artifact that is an interactive dashboard or an interactive game. And it will take, a couple of minutes. You'll see it generating the code. And then when it's done, you will have an artifact that is a legit functioning app, and you can share it. You can publish it so that it's available for other people to use. And it just opens up so much possibility, so many possibilities, so many things can be just no longer is it, you don't have to pay thousands of dollars and spend 6 weeks creating, a game or an education, um, application like that. You can come in and try it 15 times in one night and see what you like. And you can even, when you're generating something like this, after it produces the app, you can continue the conversation right there and say, you know what, I wish that the main color was red. And it's just going to go off and make those updates automatically. And in, 45 seconds, you're going to have the game with the red. It's just so crazy can be done. And I think it's phenomenally perfect for marketers in particular, because we need engagement. We're putting out lead magnets. We want these things that are going to draw people in. That's how we survive. And now, I mean, when you can take 15 minutes to create something like this, that's a phenomenal lead magnet that now doesn't really cost you any money. It doesn't really cost you any time. You don't have to hire another employee that specializes in doing these kinds of things. You can simply go have a conversation with Claude and it can do this stuff for you. It's amazing.
It's great at code. And what's really interesting, you probably like understand when you're like watching all the code it does, but it shows you what it's doing in real time and it's wild and makes you think, oh my gosh, computer science people are truly brilliant. But you just watch it generating the code and it creates these things that only computer science or developers could do in the past, and it does it in minutes. Going back to
Yes.
your interactive dashboards, it's been a game changer for operations here at Marketree. Recently, we've been really digging in on website best practices as we're moving into generative AI and what type of website structure and content is going to be more receptive to AI bots. And I created this really, really long checklist. I don't know, it was like 6, 7 pages of things that we need to consider. I gave it to Brady, and sure enough, he puts it in Claude, and we end up with this interactive checklist. It's kind of categorized. And I tell you, like trying to have a meeting and a discussion around a lot of different topics, it just makes it so much easier. There's endless usage for Claude.
Yes. Yeah, and you can do it all in Claude. You can do the research. It can put together what you're going to do. It could be all in one conversation. You could have it do the research first and then say, hey, that's some really good research. Why don't you turn that into an interactive dashboard that makes it easy to understand and visualize all of the information? That's pretty much what we did. And I can't see going back from that now.
No, I can't either. Now you've kind of spoiled us. So now I always want the interactive dashboards. One other thing about Claude, I just saw today, it's been sort of this kind of the sleeper in this frontier model race with ChatGPT, OpenAI, and then Gemini and Google and them going back and forth and Anthropic. Claude has always been kind of a little behind, but I saw today where they're gunning towards an IPO. So maybe with this sort of infusion of cash and capital, who knows? I think they've got a really good foundation. So you never know. Try out
Yeah,
Claude.
I agree. Yeah, I have been. I know. It was very public that they were trying to hire a brand manager or something along those lines because of the fact that they were so far behind. I still think to this day it's something like a 1% market share that they have, which just blows my mind. But another thing that I did see today too, is that Excel, there's a Claude plugin extension type of thing for Excel that essentially puts the Claude chatbot like in a sidebar within your Excel file, and it can do anything and everything as far as reformatting uh, your data or doing analysis type of thing on your data. So
Oh, that's great.
we're definitely moving to a situation where AI is going to be everywhere. So if you're not on the AI train now, you should probably get on there pretty
That's
quickly.
great. And try Claude. All
Yes.
right. Well, this wraps up our candid conversation. And just to let everyone know, this is completely unscripted. We do like develop our kind of 3 talking points, but from there, we just have conversation. So, as imperfect as it is, our conversation, we hope that you got something out of listening today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.